Our topic for today is the simple present tense. We use it when we are doing something right now or when something happens regularly. So we can also call it the simple indefinite tense. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to be using a book. It's called English Grammar in Use. I've got it in the description below. So here we've got the book, and it says there, the present simple tense, I do, I work, I like. So if it's I or if it's plural, we just use the basic verb. I go to school. I feel great. They play football. The sun, and if it's singular, then we add s or es. The sun rises every morning, so it's something that happens regularly. The girl brushes her teeth every night. Okay, so it's something that happens regularly or something that I do now. So let's look at some of the examples. So we've got these people over here, and they say they are looking at their books. We looked at the present continuous tense last time, so now we're looking at the present simple tense. They read a lot. He's eating an ice cream, present continuous tense, or he likes ice cream. So if it's plural, it's just read, but if it's singular, it gets an s or an es. So here we've got it. They read, he likes, I work, and that's the present simple. I, we, you, they read, like, work, live, watch, do, have. If it's only one, he, she, it reads, likes, works, lives, watches, does, and has. So you can see it gets the S or the ES. So remember, he works, she lives, it rains. I work in a shop. My brother works in a bank. Not my brother work. Linda lives in London. Her parents live in Scotland. It rains a lot in winter if you've got winter rainfall. I have, she, he, she, it has. John has a shower every day. Now, this is a common problem I have with my students, and this is one of the instances where I always correct them. It's so in Korea, the students say she have, or my friend go, or we eat. So you've got to correct your students when they say that, and so that they add the s. It's something that I'm quite fussy on. So here we go. Es after s, sh or ch, pass, passes, finish, finishes, watch, watches. If it's a y, it becomes ies, study, studies, try, tries, do, does, go, goes. So then it gets the es. We use the present simple for things that are true in general or for things that happen sometimes or all the time. I like big cities. The shops open at 9 o'clock and close at 5:30. Tim works hard. He starts at 7:30 and finishes at 8 o'clock in the evening. The earth goes round the sun. We can also say the earth revolves around the sun. We do a lot of different things in our free time. We do. She does a lot of different things in her free time. It costs a lot of money to stay at luxury hotels. It costs. So that's the it costs. So it gets the S. You can also add some time words. So always, never, often, sometimes, usually, plus the present simple. She always arrives at work early. Not to arrives always. Okay, so it comes right before the verb. She always arrives at work early. I usually go to work by car, but sometimes I walk. Not I go usually. Julia never eats breakfast. Tom lives near us. We often see him. Here we go with the exercises. Write these verbs with S or ES. She reads. He thinks. It flies. Remember, with IES. He dances. She has. It finishes. The movie finishes. It finishes. at 6 o'clock. Complete these sentences about people in the pictures. Eat, go, live, play, sleep. He plays piano. They live in a very big house. They live, because it's plural, we just say live. She eats a lot of fruit. They play tennis. We go to the cinema a lot, and he sleeps 8 hours a day, a night. So that happens regularly. So we're going to use the present simple. Complete the sentences. We've got boil, close, cost, like, meet, open, speak, teach, and wash. Margaret speaks 4 languages. Well, that's amazing. In Britain, the banks usually close. Oh, sorry, that should be open. The banks usually close. Because it's banks, we're only going to say close at 9:30 in the morning. The City Museum opens. The banks usually open at 9:30 in the morning. The City Museum closes at 5 o'clock in the evening because there is only one museum. Tina is a teacher. She teaches mathematics to young children. And remember, if we use American English, then we would just say she teaches math. And if it's British, we would say she teaches maths. So that's kind of interesting. My job is very interesting. I meet a lot of people. Peter washes his hair twice a week. I think he needs to wash it a little bit more. Food is expensive. It costs a lot of money. Shoes are expensive. They cost a lot of money. So it costs, they cost. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Julia and I are good friends. I like her and she likes me. Okay, let's write these sentences from these words. Put the verb in the right form, arrive or arrives. She always arrives early. I often play basketball. Margaret usually works hard. Jenny always wears nice clothes. We always have dinner at 7:30. Tim never watches television. Children usually like chocolate. Julia always enjoys parties. And then we can write some sentences about ourselves. I never watch television, or I usually watch television in the evening. I rarely read in bed. I like to listen to audiobooks, so I rarely read. I should read more. I never get up before 7 o'clock. I kind of get up a little bit later. I never go to school by bus. I live close to my work, so I usually walk to school. I drink a lot of coffee, or I always drink coffee in the morning. Okay. So let's quickly see if there are some more people here. Hope, hi. Sinyad, hi. Heidi, good to see you. Sorry, what is the title of the book? Would you share with us if there's a soft copy? Yes, guys, I put a link to in the description to Amazon, and it's called English Grammar in Use. I think, what is his name? Raymond Murphy. A really good book and useful too. Okay, now let's move on to the negatives. Okay, so here we go. I don't. She doesn't. We don't. So if it's plural or I, then it's I don't, we don't, they don't. If it's singular, only one, it doesn't. She doesn't, he doesn't. Okay, so let's quickly look at this. The present simple negative is don't or doesn't plus the verb. She doesn't drink coffee. She says, oh, no, thanks. I don't drink coffee. He doesn't like his job. He says, I don't like my job. So here we have the positive. I work, we like, you do, they have. I do not, or the contraction is I don't, we don't, they don't. He works, she likes, it does, it has. He doesn't, she doesn't, it doesn't. Okay, here we've got some examples. I drink coffee, but I don't drink tea. Sue drinks tea, but she doesn't drink coffee. You don't work very hard. We should all work a little bit harder if possible. We don't watch television very often. The weather is usually nice. It doesn't rain very often. Jerry and Linda don't know many people. I, you, they don't. I don't like football. He, she, it doesn't. He doesn't like football. I don't like Fred, and Fred doesn't like me. So I don't, and Fred doesn't. Not Fred don't like. My car doesn't use much petrol. My car, don't say my car don't use. Sometimes he is late, but it doesn't happen very often. We use don't or doesn't plus infinitive. Don't like, doesn't speak, doesn't do. I don't like washing the car. I don't do it very often. Sandra speaks Spanish, but she doesn't speak Italian. Not doesn't speaks. Okay. So when you use the negative, the S falls away because you're already saying doesn't speak. So don't say doesn't speaks. Bill doesn't do his job very well. Not Bill doesn't his job very well. So if you use the verb do, doesn't do. We don't do enough. Paula doesn't usually have breakfast. Don't say Paula doesn't have usually breakfast. Okay, doesn't has. Yeah, so don't say doesn't has. Paula doesn't have breakfast. Okay, here we've got the exercises. I play the piano very well. I don't play the piano very well. Jane plays the piano very well. Jane doesn't play the piano very well. They know my phone number. They don't know my phone number. We work very hard. We don't work very hard. He has a bath every day. He doesn't have a bath every day. You do the same thing every day. You don't do the same thing every day. So let's study the information and write sentences with like. Do you like classical music? Do you like boxing, horror films? Bill and Rose say, yes, they like classical music. No, they don't like boxing. Yes, they like horror films. Carol says, no, she doesn't like classical music. She likes boxing. She doesn't like horror films. Bill and Rose like classical music. Carol doesn't like classical music. I like classical music. I think it's good. Bill and Rose don't like boxing. Carol likes boxing, and I also like boxing. Number 3, horror films. Bill and Rose like horror films. Carol doesn't like horror films. I don't like horror films. Write something about yourself. I never, I often, I don't, I very often. I don't watch TV very often, or I never, or I often. I never go to, well, I rarely go to the theater, or I don't go to the theater very often. I never ride a bicycle. I don't own a bicycle now. I often eat in restaurants. I don't travel by train very often. Some people say often, some say often, both are fine. Complete the sentences. All of them are negative. Use don't and doesn't and one of these verbs. Cost, go, know, read, see, use, wear. I buy a newspaper every day, but sometimes I don't read it. Paul has a car, but he doesn't drive it very often. He doesn't, where is it? Use it very often. He doesn't use it very often. They like films, but they don't go to the cinema very often. Amanda is married, but she doesn't wear a ring. Some people don't wear rings. I know I don't know much about politics. I'm not interested in it. It's not an expensive hotel. It doesn't cost much to stay there. Brian lives near us, but we don't visit him or we don't see him very often. Put the verb in the correct form, positive or negative. Margaret speaks 4 languages: English, French, German, and Spanish. I don't like my job. It's very boring. Where's Martin? I'm sorry, I don't know. Sue is a very quiet person. She doesn't talk very much. Jim drinks a lot of tea. It's his favorite drink. It's not true. I don't believe it. That's a beautiful picture. I like it very much. Mark is vegetarian, so he doesn't eat meat. He doesn't eat meat. There we go. Do you? Does she? Does he? The present simple questions. Do you go? Does she go? So because we use does, it's no need if it's singular. It's you don't need to put es or s on the verb because you already use does. A lot of students say, does she goes? Does he plays? Which is incorrect. Correct. Does she go? Does he play? Okay, we use do, does in present simple questions. So these are simple yes or no questions that we're going to focus on. If you want more specific information, you have to use the question words. What do you watch? I can ask you, do you watch Netflix? And that's just yes, I do, no, I don't. But if you want to ask more information, you can ask, what do you watch on Netflix? Where do you watch Netflix? Okay, I watch it at home. Oh, where does he watch it? He watches it at home. Okay, and that's also a tip that I would give you when you teach is practice when a student gives an answer. I play soccer. Oh, then you can ask a partner, what does he play? And that way they can practice. He plays soccer. So it's very important to get your students to talk about one another because it also creates a good relationship between you and the students too. I work, so the positive, I work, we like, you do, they have, he works, she likes, it does, it has. And if you make a yes or no question, do I work? Do we work? Do you work? Do they like? Does he have? Does she do her homework? Does it work? Okay, now study the word order. Where do you work in the evening? Where does Chris play tennis? How often do you wash your hair? What does this word mean? How much does it cost to fly to Rome? So we can see if it's singular. How much does it cost? How often do you wash your hair? So questions with always, usually, and often. What do you always have for breakfast? What does Chris often play? What does Chris often play? I think that should be where does Chris often play tennis, or when does Chris often play tennis? What do you usually do at weekends? I like to say, what do you usually do on weekends? What do you do? What's your job? What do you do? I work in a bank. So that's a common question we have. Remember, do I, do we, do the, you, do they like music? Does he, does she, does it? Does he like music? So the short answers, yes, I do. No, I don't. Yes, he does. No, he doesn't. Do you play tennis? No, I don't. Do your parents speak English? Yes, they do. Does George work hard? Yes, he does. Does your sister live in London? No, she doesn't. So here we have the exercises. Let's do them together. I like chocolate, and you? Do you like chocolate? I play tennis, and you? Do you like to play tennis? Do you like to play tennis? Sorry. Uh, yeah, do you like to play tennis? Tom plays tennis. Does Anne play tennis? Do you play tennis? Sorry, there we go. And Anne, does Anne play tennis? You live near here, and your friends? Do your friends live near here? You speak English? Does your brother speak English? I do exercises every morning. Do you do exercises every morning? You can also say, do you exercise every morning? Sue often goes away. Does Paul often go away? I want to be famous. Do you want to be famous? Do you also want to be famous? You work hard. Does Linda work hard? And here we go. Right questions. Where do your parents live? Do you always get up early? How often do you watch TV? How often do you watch TV? What do you want for dinner? What do you want for dinner? Do you like football? Does your brother like football? What do you do in the evenings? Where does your sister work? How often do you go to the cinema? What does this word mean? How often does it snow here? What time do you usually go to bed? How much does it cost to phone New York? What do you usually have for breakfast? Complete these questions. Do, enjoy, go, like, start, teach, and work. What do you do? I work in a bookshop. What is it? Do you like it? It's okay. What time do you go in the morning? What time do you go in the morning? At 9 o'clock. Do you work on Saturdays? Sometimes. How do you go to work? Usually by bus. You can use a full sentence. I usually go by bus. And your husband, what does he do? He's a teacher. What does he teach? He teaches science, or you can just say science. Does he like his job? Yes, he loves it. And here we've got some short answers. Yes, he does. No, I don't. Do you watch TV a lot? Do you watch a lot of TV is also okay. No, I don't. Or yes, I do. Do you live in a big city? No, I don't. I live outside a big city. Do you often ride a bicycle? No, I don't. Does it rain a lot where you live? Right now, yes, it does rain a lot where I live. So yes, it does. Do you play piano? No, I don't.